Let's start this podcast off, Chuck Koplinski. Real talk with Chuck and Pam. We took last week off. I was sicker than a dog, but I'm back. I'm just
You're
coughing up
back,
a lung.
coughing up a lot. You know what? It's going around.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is really going around.
And it
So,
wasn't COVID. I took 2 COVID tests and they both came up negative. So I think it was just a nasty upper respiratory thing.
well, again, that's going around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my wife has it as well. So, yeah, it's not like I'm just lucky I have not
Yeah.
had it as of yet.
Yeah. My
So,
husband escaped it as well somehow. But while I was sick, you and I were supposed to go on a trip to New York City, courtesy of
you
Netflix, but you went instead of both of us going. Thank you for repping Real
you
Talk with Chuck and Pam.
you didn't miss a thing.
Oh, I certainly did.
You didn't
Why
miss a
don't you?
thing.
Just a few things.
I'm just trying to make you feel good.
Don't just let our listeners know some of the highlights of what went on and why you were there.
Um, their big awards film, I think. Well, they've got quite a few things in the pipe for award season here. But one of their bigger ones is Bradley Cooper's film Maestro, which is a biopic of Leonard Bernstein. And I found out Bernstein,
Not
Bernstein,
seen.
not Bernstein,
Right.
Bernstein. Uh, and Cooper plays Bernstein. He also co-wrote the screenplay, directed the film, produced it. He's doing the whole Orson Welles thing. So that was premiering, North American premiere at the New York Film Festival. Netflix flew us out for that. But what was really cool was the morning of that, the film was at Monday night. The morning of that, they gave us a tour of Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
And it was so neat.
I
Gosh,
bet
was
it
it
was.
cool. I've
Ah,
always wanted to go there, had never been there. And they took us behind the scenes. They took us at various levels within the auditorium area. So cool. I learned so much. And now I got to go back and see a show there. I don't care. I don't care what it is. I just want to go back now and just see a show and be there. Just not just the name, but also once you get in there, you understand. You start to understand what makes it so special and why it's, a pinnacle of so many people's careers to say, hey, I played Carnegie Hall.
did you have any
So,
ghosts whispering in your ear while you were there? It's
nope,
supposed to be haunted, right?
nope. Isn't any place supposed to be haunted?
Oh, come on.
I
Come on,
mean,
Chuck, play along.
one person's ghost is another person's draft. I've always said that, okay? Um, but so we went there, saw the movie, talked to some great people involved with the movie, the co-writer, uh, production designer. Really interesting guy I talked to was he was the conductor consultant, and he taught Bradley Cooper how to conduct. And I did not say, how do you use the little stick? I
Yay.
turned because you warned me against that.
I did.
And so I did say baton. I said
Yay for
baton.
you.
Yeah. So those interviews will be coming. My reviews already posted on Rotten Tomatoes. And obviously, when it comes close to the release date, we'll publish shows as well in the other publications I am. And we'll review it on CBS 58 as well. But so again, Netflix. I don't know what we did to deserve this, but they always take such good care of us. So thank you, Netflix.
Awesome. Very, very cool. I'm hoping that they do another trip and I hope that I am healthy and able to go to the next one. Um, we've
It's
had
not
a
the same without you, so you better, yeah,
well, I've
be
I've
healthy.
gone to these things without you, and I
I
quite
know you
agree.
have.
Real talk with Chuck and Pam has to be Chuck and Pam to make it feel right.
That's right. I agree.
What
Totally.
did you see this week that's a biggie or that you want to warn people against not
Oh,
seeing?
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Do tell.
It's funny. While I was in New York, I walked over to Times Square with a friend, a young friend of mine, daughter of a friend of mine. She had never seen The Exorcist, the original, and
Okay.
they were running it again for the 50th anniversary, and also I'm sure to prime the pump for this shitty sequel that came out.
Oh, how do you feel
And
about it?
oh God, you know what? And I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, but it never fails to have an impact on me. So transgressive in the way it did things, so forceful in what it talks about. You know, people talk about it as a horror film, and it is a horror film, but it's also a film about faith. I think it's a religious film more than it's a horror film because it's all about faith. It's all about how important and you know, when things are going well for you, it's easy to believe in God or whatever you believe in. When things are going bad, though, that's when the true test is, and that's what this film's all about. And it was neat to see it again the other night with a crowd because I could tell in the audience there were people who hadn't seen it from the reactions and things like that.
Fun.
And that reinstill and that gets the enthusiasm up in me as well. And I had a good conversation with Megan afterwards, the young lady I went with. And I don't know if I don't know if it's a good thing that I saw it before seeing Exorcist Believer or not, but Exorcist Believer is I'm just gonna use a term, I don't know if I've used it before, a checklist movie. Okay. There's a checklist of things they've got to include, and they just check them off, check them off, check them off. And all these things are done with little enthusiasm. It's as though we've got to do this. We've got to have a scene in which the girls are puking. We've got to have a scene in which, everyone's doubting. They just hit the checklist, but it's all done in just a rote manner. This is just a lazy film. And there's no reason for it. I mean, there are certain films that you never want to never remake. There are certain films that you should never have a sequel to, and The Exorcist is one of them because you're never, ever, ever going to recreate the impact that that film had, the
Right.
way it changed the horror genre. You're never going to do that. So why bother? I mean, obviously it's for the money, but yeah, just a colossal waste of time. David
Wow.
Gordon Green, the guy who directed the last three shitty Halloween sequels, he's in
Oh,
charge of these three films because there's supposed to be three of them. I'm hoping this thing bombs so that maybe they won't do the other two.
right.
I will say this one was not as graphic as the Halloween films. Thank God.
Okay.
But it's just why? That's the only thing I asked at the end. Just why? So yes, skip that, please. I'm going to be looking at the box office big time on this one because, like I say, I'm hoping it just caves in.
All right. Well, skip that one.
I
And
took one for the team.
you did. You did. I texted you and said, should I go? And you said no. And
Oh,
so I trust you like everybody else should on
exactly
most
right. Oh, I
movies.
like that. Yeah. Aha, on most movies. Okay.
Here's
There was one that you saw that you really, really liked, and I'm hoping it spreads out in theaters.
I do too. This is one that you're going to have to look for. It's not playing everywhere, but if you can find it, check it out. It's called She Came to Me. And I believe Rebecca Miller is the writer and director of this film. She's not I guess, a household name, if you will.
But you know who she is.
Tell me.
Playwright Arthur Miller, that's his daughter.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
You know who her husband is?
Who?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
They
Well,
met while he was doing The Crucible, Arthur Miller's
really?
play. Yes.
Okay. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh. Okay, very good. Well, that's a great piece of information.
There you
Well,
go.
I'm not quite sure where she gets her eccentric sensibilities, if you will, because let me tell you, She Came to Me is one oddball movie that I was delighted to see. And you and I talk about endings. Endings can make or break.
Uh-huh.
This
Yep.
ending was so unexpected, and I'm still chuckling out loud right now, just thinking about what the ending of this strange movie was. It's about an opera composer who has writer's block. And he is, trying to figure out how is he going to come up with his next great, brilliant composition for the next great opera. And he happens to be married to Anne Hathaway, who plays blank Patricia. And Patricia is a therapist, and oh my goodness, she has some quirks, let me tell you. She's definitely very methodical and organized, and only certain things can happen on certain days. And it's obvious by the fact that their relationship, Steve is the composer, played by Peter Dinklage, and his wife Patricia
I'm
met
sorry.
during
I'm sorry.
therapy.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but as you were talking about her, I remember there's a moment in which she suddenly realizes she has extra time. She says, "Let's clean."
I know.
She loves to clean.
There is something really cool about cleaning, though, if it would only stay clean.
Right.
I did relate to some of her idiosyncrasies, which scared me a little bit. Anyway, I digress. So she sends her husband, Stephen, played by Peter Dinklage, off for a walk with the dog because he needs to clear his head and she needs some space from him because I think he's driving her nuts because of his writer's block.
Yep.
And he happens to go past a bar and he goes past it and then he comes back and it's almost like he hears a siren song beckoning him into the bar. He sits down at the bar and this woman dressed in a raincoat and galoshes comes up to the bar. I didn't recognize her at first. It was Marissa Tomei who plays Katrina. She is a tugboat captain, which how do these things? So they
I
have
don't know. It's great though.
he goes back to her tugboat.
And who
And
wouldn't?
I'm not going to make any jokes based on that.
Hey, buddy,
And
come back to my tugboat. Yeah.
they have a little affair, a little one night stand. He has found his muse for his music as he tumbles off the dock and down to the bottom of the ocean for a couple of seconds. And an epiphany comes to him, and he knows what his next opera is going to be. Oh, what a hoot that is. And he thinks the world is going well again. He's a hit again until he realizes Katrina has fallen in love with him. Well, there are so many side stories, but not too many. He's got a stepson, Patricia's son from a first marriage, Julian, played by Evan Ellison, who's a brilliant young man. His whole future is ahead of him. He's in high school, and he is in love with Teresa, who happens to be their cleaning lady's daughter, unbeknownst to everybody until one very awkward interaction occurs.
Yes.
Her mom and dad are a unique couple. Trey is played by Brian Darcy James, and that's her stepfather. And he is a court stenographer. Initially, you would think that he was a lawyer, but then we quickly find out he is not a lawyer. He is a stenographer. So all of this cast of characters, they're bizarre. I mean, I don't know how you would think up tugboat captain, stenographer versus having a lawyer, and the relationship between Julian and Teresa, the two high school kids, has its own issues that truly spiral out of control. And there are realistic elements placed in all of this fanciful story that really keeps you engaged throughout the entire movie. I had so much fun watching this because I never knew where it was going to go. And I was constantly surprised, and I was laughing, and I was like on the verge of tears. And then I was angry at parts. I had every emotion. And then bam, the ending. I would never have seen how to wrap up that final scene was brilliant. I had so much fun with this movie.
You know, we talk about, you're right, we talk about endings. But also, I mean, the whole notion that 9 times out of 10, when we sit down for a movie, within 20 minutes, we know, how this whole thing's going to end. And like you say, I had no idea where this thing was going. And quite frankly, I was getting a little frustrated with it. Because I was, the two storylines as they unfold, I'm like, these seem so disparate. I mean, how in the world are these things going to connect? And I'll be damned, when they did, I'm like, oh, this is
Right.
really interesting. So,
It is
and
to
it
me that reminded me so much of Shakespeare, because he has all these off the wall characters that have all these different stories going on, and then somehow eventually we see them starting to collide, and then not just collide but intermingle, and they all make sense and they all need each other to give us that ending.
Exactly. Exactly. And you say, who would think of a tugboat captain, and but also who would think of casting Peter Dinklage in this role?
Right?
Which really, really works.
It does
Completely
work.
works. And Hathaway as the troubled therapist. The ending when we find out where her life takes her. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, and this is one of the ones, you say we're going to have to look for this. I want to circle back on a later podcast when this becomes more available, like on streaming,
Okay.
or if you can rent it at home, because this is one that people need to find. And I have no idea why, but the flywheel is over at Rotten Tomatoes. For some odd reason, this is at 48%
Ah,
on Rotten
really?
Tomatoes. Yes, even though,
Ah,
or 46%, 52 reviews, 46%. Um, yeah, I know you and I have both posted our positive reviews to bolster this one.
right.
That's a head scratcher to me. I don't understand why people haven't had the reaction that we've had. So we want to get behind this one. We're going to keep mentioning this one when it becomes more available, because I think it's one of those that when you watch it, you'll tell someone else to watch it,
Right.
and they'll say, "Oh, wow, that was really great." At least I think so. So, but
I
yeah.
completely agree. I completely agree. So seek that one out. Again, it is called She Came to Me with Peter Dinklage, Anne Hathaway, and Marissa Tomei.
Mhm.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the operas that he writes.
Yes, yes. And then there's that. I mean, what is that all about?
I know, right?
And his reaction when he's blocked, when he's approached at the beginning by one of his backers. And also, the Hathaway character, she's got a patient, a therapist patient, who is in the middle of having the therapy session of his dreams.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then it goes horribly south, just horribly off the rails. Oh, yeah. See, I want to go watch it again.
I know, I know. This is something that I would watch over and over again. I'd watch it with other people because I want to see their reactions to watching it, you know?
I agree. I
All right.
agree.
I
Yeah.
think we have gushed over this one. Please
Yeah.
check out She Came to Me.
Yeah.
And I'd like for you, because I don't want to talk about this one, I would like for you to talk about Fair Play.
Well, I want to talk about this one with you, because I think there's a distinction to be made here, and I've noticed something. Yeah, Fair Play is a hard movie to watch. There's no question about it. What's the young lady's name? Phoebe Donover? Phoebe
Yeah, Denever. I'm not sure how to pronounce her
Donover.
last name.
She's
Yeah.
on the Bridgerton, which I was informed of yesterday on the
I
air.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I don't watch that.
I don't either.
Uh, she plays a woman in this film called Fair Play, and she's dating a guy played by Alden Ehrenreich. They work the same um, financial firm in New York City, high stakes stuff, high pressure stuff. They both work there together. They're living together, dating. They're not supposed to be according to company policy, but they're doing that anyway. They're in love. I think he's more enamored with her than she is with him. And then something happens. One of the senior execs at the firm, has a complete meltdown, and which was hilarious to see. And that opens up a position. And the scuttlebutt is that he is going to get the promotion, but she gets the promotion instead. And he says he's happy for her. We believe him for a while. She says, "Don't worry, I'm going to look out for you. Next time there's a promotion, I'm going to put a good word in for you." And then, of course, things start to fall apart. The tension between them starts, subtly, and then it gradually becomes, his resentment is obvious. Uh, she's in a much worse position though, because she's been inducted into this boys club. She's got to, not only do well, but also prove that, she can do better than them, has to get over their preconceptions of, well, she's a woman. And then, of course, there's the whole conception that everyone's saying she slept her way to the top. There's many uncomfortable scenes, but there's a moment in which they go out to celebrate something that she's done well, and she feels compelled to say, "Let's go celebrate at this high class strip club," where they usually would go to celebrate. She has to compromise herself in order to fit in, and this thing just takes a wicked turn in the third act. Like I say, it's uncomfortable. It deals with a lot of uncomfortable things. Uh, you know, Sexual politics, workplace politics, all that stuff, and how it just erodes the relationship. It's a movie I admire. It wasn't It didn't leave me feeling all that well at the end, but it is very well done. And I was engaged from beginning to end. And so that's why I'm recommending it. I mean, it's dealing with some important issues. And like I say, I think it's very well done all the way across the board.
All right. I will not disagree with you on the fact that it was very well directed. I mean, cinematically, you're there, you're in every moment, even when
Mhm.
you don't want to be.
Sure.
I was actually rather surprised that this was written and directed by a woman, Chloe Domont. I was
I,
shocked.
it's based on some experiences that she's had.
Okay. Um, I I think I had issues with the third scene with some, and I don't want to give anything away, so I'm not going to tell you what that is, but Chuck, you know what I'm talking
And
about.
that's a head scratcher to me,
Yeah.
that scene.
I understood. I mean, this is about toxic masculinity. This is, and I know that's a catchphrase, but it truly is about how women have to be men to succeed in a man, quote unquote, man's world.
Mhm.
And the hedge fund business or investment strategy, banking, whatever it was, the high finance stuff, definitely a man's world, much more so than a woman's, stereotypically. Um, so I didn't understand the message of this movie. To me was, we need to morph in, we meaning women need to morph into being men to succeed. And
Well, I
that's
think the message is that there's still a long way to go. Progress has been made, uh, but obviously not enough. There's a great little moment where, they're going through like workplace seminars that they have to go through about, conflict resolution and, sexual harassment and that kind of shit. And you can just see by the expressions on their face, it's like, yeah, we got to do this shit. It ain't going to change anything, but we got
right,
to do it.
right.
Yeah, I think she's just pointing to the fact that change still needs to occur. And maybe also the message is that it never will change at least enough.
Well,
Because I find it to be a very nihilistic film by the end.
right. Well, and I, in that third scene, it was male dominance all the way across, male
I
dominance.
mean,
So
third scenes or the third act?
third act, sorry, third act.
Okay, all right. Yeah, yeah, in the worst way.
In the worst
And
way.
then yeah, and then the way that she is then forced to act in the final scene. And not
Yeah,
forced to act, I shouldn't say forced to act, but finds herself acting in
right.
that way.
So
Uh,
is she being true to herself, or she's just succumbing to what works? I don't know. It,
well,
I didn't love it because I didn't understand why she said what she did at the end. Not the very end, but
right.
um,
Yeah,
in
no,
the
I know what
apartment. Yeah. I don't want to give it away for anybody who's listening if you
well,
haven't seen it. Um,
it ends abruptly, and I think that character at that point has some decisions to make, whether she's going to continue in this world or not. I mean, now that she's gotten there and she discovers how this works and is starting to see how it's affecting her, she's going to have to figure out what to do.
right.
So, yeah, an
Yeah.
uncomfortable watch, but again, I recommend it because it's very well done. And the two performances are great.
The two performances
They
are
really are.
great. I just had too many questions about her decisions that she made and why.
I think
Especially
she's
that
in, I think she's between a rock and a hard place.
maybe.
You know, you know, you
Yeah,
work hard, you work hard, you work hard, you get to where you're supposed to be, and then holy shit, this isn't what I thought it would be. It's you know, and you're not the person I thought you were, even worse.
right. Well,
So
and then just, the stereotypical Eddie Marzen, is that his name?
Marzin, yeah,
Yeah, I like him and he plays a real prick.
yep, he's
Um
good at those roles.
yeah, he is. He is. I bet he's a real sweetheart in person. I've never met him before.
I would hope
Um
so.
I hope so too. But he he's old school male,
Yes,
and he expects so much, and I don't know, it's just everything about it was just
but
uncomfortable, that
but
there
but
was not the redeeming story for me to say, yes, there's a great narrative arc here and I stand behind it, so that I just couldn't get behind the film.
but look at what we're doing though.
We're talking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. How many movies do we just brush aside after 5 minutes?
True.
So in talking about it, I think that she's accomplished something. And I know this sparked a lot of conversation when it premiered at Sundance earlier this year.
Right.
So I'm anxious to see what happens because it started yesterday on Netflix. I'm hoping it prompts something.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this, we would love it if you do watch this movie on Netflix. Shoot us an email or post something on our Facebook page or our website and let us know what you think, especially that
Yeah.
third act.
Last 15, 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember texting you like, did she?
And I said, wait till the end.
All right. I know we're running out of time here. Is there anything else that you want to mention that is out to see?
We no, but we've got the Chicago International Film Festival is coming up. And you and I have had a love-hate relationship, I would say about this. But this year the lineup is really, really strong.
It really is.
Uh, have quite a few films that have awards buzz, coming to the festival. One of them is Saltburn, the next film from Fennell. She was the Oscar winner screenwriter for Promising Young Woman. She also directed that film, so that's coming. One I'm really looking forward to, The Bike Riders, with Austin Butler and Joni Comer and
Yep.
Tom Hardy. Biker gang, true story in the 60s and 70s. Michael Shannon, one of our favorite actors.
Yes.
He's got his directorial debut in a film called Eric LaRue. Get a load of the description. Film follows the shell-shocked Janice, played by Judy Greer, as she attempts to navigate the aftermath of a shooting spree caused by her son.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Fincher's new movie, The Killer, is going to be there. Rustin with Coleman Domingo. There's a lot of buzz about this one. Netflix film.
Right.
And they just announced a movie called American Fiction, which is getting a lot of buzz. Jeffrey Wright's in that, and if he's in it, I'm there. Always
He's
like him.
amazing, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's diverse. You never know what he's going to do. He'll do a pulp fiction thing. He'll do a comic book thing. Then he'll do something serious, and he's good in everything. So, Chicago International Film Festival. If you got some time over the next couple weeks, definitely check it out. Go to their website. There's always something interesting to find, especially this year. There's a lot of good stuff.
I'd like to mention two other things. Poor Things.
Oh, yes.
That's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yes.
And that
With
looks
Emma Stone.
with Emma Stone. It looks like a Frankenstein type of movie.
Looks like a Bride of Frankenstein thing. That's what I keep hearing it referred to as.
And it looks funny and quirky and dark.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo and Willem Dafoe as well. So, yeah, I'm there.
Great cast. And then another one, and I have to say, Chicago International Film Festival has, I think, one of the best selections of foreign flicks. So if you love foreign movies, this is your festival to go to. And if you want to take a chance and expand a little bit and try a foreign movie, they choose some pretty awesome ones. There is one called The Promised Land, and that is starring one of my favorite actors, Mads Mikkelsen. He clashes with a local landowner in Denmark, and what happens with that, I don't know, but I love him as an actor, and he brings anything and everything to life. It's a biopic, so it should be an interesting thriller to see.
All right. And hopefully we'll get to some of this stuff and be able to report on it as well.
That sounds great. Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. You can take a look at our other reviews from this week as well. Totally Killer and Miranda's Victim on our website, realtalkwithchuckandpam.com. And be sure to check out the Chicago International Film Festival beginning October 11th through the 22nd. And we'll hopefully be doing some interviews and things in the second week of that festival.
Yep. All right. Good to touch base with you, Pam Pal.
Same here, Chuck. I will see you soon.